I had eaten only plain boiled vegetables for a whole month, yet my weight had mysteriously shot up by 30 pounds. Meanwhile, my best friend was stuffing herself with fried chicken and barbecue every night, yet still maintained a waif like 90 pounds figure. It wasn't until I accidentally discovered that she was bound to a weight swap system, transferring all the fat she ate onto me. I didn't expose her. Instead, I decisively threw away the healthy meals and launched into a frenzy of binge eating. A week later, my best friend screamed in agony on a live stream and was rushed to the ICU overnight. She groaned in pain. "Please, stop eating. My stomach is about to burst. Is the person in the mirror me?" I couldn't believe my eyes. Puffy cheeks, a heavy double chin, and facial features almost hidden by the layers of fat. The bright red number on the scale, 150 pounds, was like a red-hot nail driving straight into my heart. 3 months ago, I wasn't like this. I'm 1.7 meters tall, and my weight has long stayed at 50 kilograms, making me the envy of my WeChat moments as a walking clothes hanger. But starting 3 months ago, my body seemed like a balloon with a hole poked in it, swelling up uncontrollably. Even drinking a sip of cold water makes me gain weight like crazy. At first, I thought it was an endocrine disorder, so I went to every major hospital and had a full round of tests. The results showed that every function in my body was as healthy as could be. In the end, the doctor could only attribute the reason to eating too much, but I was clearly eating even less than before. To lose weight, I gave up all high-calorie foods and ate only boiled vegetables every day. At night, I was so hungry I couldn't sleep, so I would hug a pillow and cry, but my weight was still steadily increasing. In desperation, I even tried forcing myself to vomit. The way stomach acid burned my throat made me feel like a monster. My best friend, Jo Chien, was the only one who knew about all this pain. She stayed with me every day and encouraged me. Ran, don't be discouraged. It's definitely a plateau phase. You'll be fine once you get past it." As she spoke, she picked up a piece of glistening braised pork belly and put it into my bowl. "Eat up. If you're not full, how are you supposed to have the energy to lose weight?" With tears in my eyes, I looked at her gratefully. At that time, I still naively believed that she was the best person to me in this world, until I saw the message that popped up on her phone. It was the back-end data of an influencer with millions of followers, with a monthly income reaching 7 figures. The account was called Kikian Who Can't Gain Weight. The profile picture is Jo Chien's exquisite, bright, and beautiful face. I was stunned. When did Jo Chien become a competitive eater streamer? Her digestive system is clearly not good. She feels unwell if she eats even a little greasy food. I clicked into her live stream room. On the screen, my bad stomach best friend was sitting in front of a mountain of food: fried chicken, burgers, pizza, barbecue, all the things I love to eat, but dare not touch. She was eating heartily while smiling brightly at the camera. "Babes, don't worry that I'll get fat from eating this much. I'm just the kind of person who doesn't gain weight no matter how much I eat." The barrage of comments was filled with fans' envious exclamations. "The chosen one. I'm so jealous. Chien has such a great figure and can still eat so much. She's literally my dream girl." Looking at Jo Chien on the screen, slender in build yet eating with unrestrained gusto, then I looked at myself in the mirror, bloated and ugly. A ridiculous yet chilling thought rose from the bottom of my heart for the first time. Is there really such a thing as a body type that lets you eat non-stop without gaining weight? Or maybe all the things she ate ended up on me. The phone screen lit up. It was a WeChat message from Jo Chien. Ran, my live stream numbers blew up again today. Next month I'll be able to buy a new car. By the way, did you weigh yourself today? Have you lost any weight? I didn't reply. I just stared intently at the familiar yet strange best friend on the screen. A bone-chilling cold spread instantly from the soles of my feet throughout my entire body. My suspicion, like a seed, began to sprout wildly in my heart. I began paying close attention to Jo Chien's every move. Her live streams were getting longer and longer, and the food she ate was becoming more and more outrageous, from late-night barbecue skewers to early-morning hot pot, and then challenging herself to eat 10 giant burgers in one go. Her follower count soared, quickly surpassing 3 million, and my weight was also increasing at a terrifying pace, in sync with it. 155 pounds, 160 pounds, 165 pounds. I could no longer fit into any of my beautiful clothes from before. Whenever I walked down the street, I could always feel the strange looks from passers-by. Those eyes, mixed with contempt and curiosity, were like countless tiny needles, piercing me until I was covered in wounds. I locked myself at home, afraid to go out and afraid to see anyone. Jo Chien came to see me several times. Each time, she brought me my favorite high-calorie desserts. Ran, stop dieting. Look at you now. How cute you are, all soft and chubby. She pinched the fat on my belly, smiling innocently. "Why do women make things hard for other women? Being happy is what matters most." Her words were like a gentle knife, slicing away at my reason bit by bit. Looking at her hypocritical smiling face, I felt a surge of nausea churning in my stomach. I began secretly recording every conversation we had. I began searching through every online novel about systems, binding, and energy transfer. Those wild ideas I had once scoffed at had now become my only lifeline. Finally, late one night, I got my chance. Zhou Qian got drunk and fell asleep at my place. I used her fingerprint to unlock her phone. In her notes, I found an encrypted file named My Little Piggy Bank. I tried a few passwords, but none of them worked. In the end, I somehow found myself entering my birthday. The file opened with a click. There were only a few short lines of text inside. Weight swap system successfully bound. Bound target, Jiang Ran. Host, Zhou Qian. Function, all calories consumed by the host will be borne by the bound target. The host will obtain a perfect figure, and the bound target's weight will continue to increase. Note, the system cannot be unbound and cannot be reversed. I stared at those lines of text, as if all the blood in my body had been drained away in an instant. So it turned out that all of this was not just my imagination. So it turned out that there really was such a vicious system. So it turned out that my best friend was the one who raised the butcher's knife against me. On the phone screen, her chat history with someone else was still there. Jiang Ran is just an idiot. She's helping me count the money after I sold her out. Thanks to her fat, I'm now making over $1 million a month. Isn't that hilarious? Once I've made enough money, I'll go abroad. Who cares about the life or death of that dead fat pig? Dead fat pig. It turned out that in her heart, I was nothing more than a fat pig who provided her with nourishment. I gripped my phone so hard that my knuckles turned white one by one. It felt like an invisible hand was gripping my heart tightly. The pain so intense I couldn't breathe. Tears kept falling uncontrollably. I cried for our more than 10 years of friendship, for the trust one had once given so unreservedly, and also for all the pain and torment I had endured over these past 3 months. By the time I had cried myself out, I actually started laughing, laughed until tears came out. I walked over to the mirror and looked at the bloated, swollen version of myself inside it. Then I took out my phone and deleted all the weight loss apps. I opened the food delivery app, fried chicken, milk tea, barbecue, crayfish. I clicked on every food I had once longed for but dared not touch. Since gaining weight is my fate, since the system is irreversible, then why should I keep dieting? Zhou Qian, if you want to play, I'll play with you. I'm eager to see. I'll be the one to burst from all this fat first. Still you, to be the first one to be literally burst by my fat. When the takeout arrived, the delivery guy looked at the mountain of food piled at the door, his eyes full of shock. Miss, this was all eaten by you alone. I nodded expressionlessly. I have a pretty good appetite. After closing the door, I laid out all the food on the table one by one. The aroma instantly filled the whole room. Taking a deep breath, I picked up a fried chicken drumstick and took a big bite. The crispy outer skin, the tender chicken, and the piping hot juices. A long-lost sense of satisfaction instantly swept over my taste buds. Delicious. As I ate, I opened Zhou Qian's live stream room. Today, she was taking on the challenge of eating a 5-pound tomahawk steak. In front of the camera, she ate gracefully and calmly, as if tasting some earthly delicacy. Fans frantically flooded the live stream comments with gifts. Qian is amazing. She eats so much and still doesn't gain weight. Goddess, please give us a weight loss tutorial. I looked at the screen and let out a cold laugh. A weight loss tutorial? Wasn't her weight loss tutorial just me? I finished off an entire fried chicken and then opened a full sugar milk tea. The ice-cold, sweet liquid slid down her throat, bringing a wave of guilty pleasure. Meanwhile, Zhou Qian in the live stream suddenly frowned. She held her stomach, her face turning a little pale. Sorry, babies, I seem to have overeaten a bit today. She forced a smile. I'll end the live stream first. See you tomorrow. After saying that, she hurriedly turned off the live stream. I looked at the screen going dark, and the corners of my mouth curved higher and higher. It worked. It seems that while this system can transfer heat, satiety is shared as well. I swept the food on the table away in a whirlwind. After belching, I felt as if I had swallowed an entire cow. My stomach was so full it felt awful, as if I were about to throw up, but I didn't. I held back my discomfort and walked onto the scale. 170 pounds overnight. I had gained 5 pounds. Good. The next day, I didn't receive a call from Zhou Qian. I suppose she probably thought it was just an accident. I'm not in a hurry either. The game has only just begun. I began to devise a brand new diet plan. For breakfast, 10 meat buns in a bowl of soy milk. Lunch, 2 family buckets, 1 liter of cola. Afternoon tea, a cream cake and a cup of cheese milk foam tea. Dinner, 3 pounds of spicy crayfish and a seafood barbecue. Late night snack, another bucket of instant noodles with 2 sausages. I treated myself like a soulless feeding machine. I kept eating, endlessly stuffing food into my stomach. My weight began to surge at an unprecedented rate, 180 pounds, 190 pounds, 200 pounds. I had become an utterly fat person. I felt winded even while walking, and Zhou Qian's live stream kept running into one problem after another. She began to frequently feel unwell during live streams. Sometimes it was stomach pain, and sometimes it was bloating. The worst time was when, just after taking a bite of cream, she vomited in front of millions of fans. The live stream room instantly erupted into chaos. What's wrong with Qian? Is she sick? Purging? My God, is the big eater persona falling apart? Zhou Qian's company spent a great deal of effort suppressing the backlash. As a result, she also stopped streaming for several days. I know she must have noticed something. Sure enough, that night, I received a call from her. Her voice sounded tired and weak. Ran, what have you been doing lately? I replied indistinctly while munching on chips. Nothing much, eating, sleeping, and beating up little beans. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. After quite a while, Zhou Qian finally asked in a tentative tone, "Are you binge eating?" With a crunch, I bit the chips in my mouth to pieces. Yeah, I admitted it straightforwardly. What? Is that not okay? There was deathly silence on the other end of the line. I could even hear Zhou Qian's breathing. After a full half-minute, she spoke in exasperation. "Jiang Ran, are you crazy? Do you know what you're doing?" I let out a light laugh and took another bite of a potato chip. Crack, the crisp sound, carried through the current, clearly reached her ears. "Of course I know. I'm eating, just like you do every day in your live stream room." "No, this is different," she retorted anxiously. "You can't keep eating. Stop right now." "Why should I?" I shot back. "Zhou Qian, what right do you have to order me around? Is it because you're my best friend, or because you're the creditor for my weight?" Ran, listen to me, there must be some misunderstanding between us. She was still trying to disguise it with that gentle, innocent tone. "Truly disgusting. Misunderstanding. Is that weight exchange system in your memo a misunderstanding? Was it a misunderstanding that you called me a dead fat pig in your chats with other people? Was it also a misunderstanding that you trampled on my health and dignity and made a fortune from it?" With every word I said, the breathing on the other end of the phone grew a little more rapid. In the end, she simply stopped pretending. "Jiang Ran, what exactly do you want?" Her voice turned vicious. "Do you want to destroy me? I'm telling you, if you keep acting so recklessly, then at worst I won't eat either. I'm not going to live anymore. Let's see who can outlast who." "That's the funniest joke I've ever heard." "Sure," I said slowly, "if you don't eat, then I can just take the opportunity to lose weight. But don't forget, you're a competitive eating live streamer. If you don't eat, will your fans agree? Will your company agree? Your luxury goods, your new car, your big house, they'll all leave you." "Zhou Qian, you worked so hard to climb to where you are today. Are you really willing to give that up?" She fell silent again. I knew I had hit a sore spot. She had long since been corrupted by fame and fortune and could never go back to the way she was before. "Jiang Ran, I'm begging you." Her tone softened, tinged with a sob. "We're best friends, aren't we? You can't treat me like this." "Friends." I chewed over those two words, only to find my mouth filled with bitterness. "The moment you started treating me as a stepping stone for your own rise, we were no longer friends. Now, we are enemies." "Zhou Qian, listen to me carefully. This game starts with you, but I decide when it ends. The pain you've caused me, I'll return it 100-fold. From today on, every bite you eat will turn into a knife stabbing yourself. Just you wait." I hung up the phone and tossed it aside. In the room, only the sound of me chewing my food remained. Looking at the completely unfamiliar person in the mirror, I smiled for the first time, a genuine smile. "Zhou Qian, are you ready to welcome my feast?" Zhou Qian kept quiet for a few days. Her social media accounts fell completely silent, and her live streams stopped too. I guess she was probably thinking of a countermeasure. Meanwhile, I used those few days to take my diet plan up another notch. I was no longer satisfied with just high calories. I began to pursue the ultimate sensory stimulation, a collision of ice and fire. Right after finishing a pot of scalding hot spicy hot pot, I immediately chugged down an entire family-size bucket of ice cream. It felt as if a war of ice and fire was raging in my stomach, the cramping pain unbearable, but I didn't care. I knew that every bit of my suffering was being felt by Zhou Qian as if it were her own. My weight officially broke through the 200 pounds mark. I had become a giant who needed custom-made plus-size clothes. Just when I thought Zhou Qian would keep hiding like a turtle, she posted an update, a heavily edited selfie, paired with a pitifully vulnerable caption. "During the past few days away, I've been taking care of my health, so babies, please don't worry. To thank everyone for your concern, the day after tomorrow at 8 p.m., I'll be taking on the unprecedented Devil Spicy Chicken Wings Challenge. See you there." In the comments section, countless fans immediately flooded in with sympathy and anticipation. "The goddess is finally back. Wah, I feel so bad for Qian. You must take care of your health. devil spicy chicken wings. Oh my god, my expectations are through the roof. I looked at that post and let out a cold laugh. Unprecedented, devil spicy. Zhou Qian, you're still too naive. Do you think the hell you've been through is the lowest level? On the day of the live stream, I made full preparations in advance. I didn't order takeout. I personally made a trip to the Sichuan restaurant famous for its insanely spicy food. I asked the owner to pack up 3 servings of the spiciest signature dish in the shop, the one that supposedly could spice a cow to death. The owner looked at me with the eyes of someone watching a brave warrior heading to the execution ground. Girl, cheer up, there's nothing you can't get through. I smiled at him and didn't explain. At 8 o'clock that evening, I opened Zhou Qian's live stream room on time. She was wearing delicate makeup and a white dress, looking pure and innocent. In front of her was a plate of glistening red chicken wings, generously dusted with chili powder. Hello, babies, I'm back. She smiled sweetly at the camera. Today, we're going to take on these legendary devilishly spicy chicken wings. As she spoke, she elegantly picked up a chicken wing and took a gentle bite. It's spicy, but so satisfying. She put on an expression of really enjoying it. In the bullet comments, the fans' gifts were flying in like crazy. I opened the lunchbox in front of me with a blank expression. A pungent, choking spiciness instantly filled the entire room. It was a pure, violent, utterly unreasonable kind of heat. Without hesitation, I picked up a large piece of tripe soaked in chili oil and stuffed it into my mouth. Fire! A ball of fire exploded instantly in my mouth, then it burned all the way down my esophagus into my stomach. My tears and mucus surged out instantly. Almost at the same time, Zhou Qian's smile in the live stream froze on her face. Fine. Beads of sweat began to appear on her forehead, her face rapidly flushed red at a speed visible to the naked eye. This chicken wing really packs quite a punch. She gave a strained explanation and took another big gulp of milk. I ignored my body's protest and picked up another piece. This time, it was a piece of brain soaked with chili oil. I closed my eyes and swallowed it in one gulp. In the live stream room, Zhou Qian suddenly let out a short scream. She abruptly clapped a hand over her mouth, her body trembling violently in front of the camera. Her beautiful face was twisted beyond recognition by pain. Beads of sweat the size of beans rolled down from her temples, smearing her delicate makeup. Water, water, she mumbled incoherently, pushing the chicken wings in front of her away. The plate fell to the floor with a crisp crash. The live stream room was completely thrown into chaos. What happened to Qian? She looks so painful. Call an ambulance now. The screen shook violently a few times, then suddenly went dark. The live stream was interrupted. I put down my chopsticks, lay on the table, and gasped for breath. It felt as if a knife were repeatedly twisting in my stomach. My lips were numb and swollen, completely losing sensation, but I was smiling. Zhou Qian, this is only the beginning of hell. The news that Zhou Qian had been taken away by ambulance shot to the top of the trending list that very night. #BigEater streamer Qian suspected to have fainted during livestream. #the tragedy sparked by the devilishly spicy chicken wing challenge. #shocking headlines of all kinds spread like wildfire across major social platforms. Her company issued a statement at the first opportunity, saying that Zhou Qian had been overworked and was also suffering from acute gastroenteritis, and that she was now out of danger. But netizens aren't fools. That live stream clip of her face contorted in pain as she screamed was replayed over and over, and edited into all kinds of memes. She can end up in the ICU just from eating a chicken wing. What kind of physical condition is that? Why is she still trying to be a competitive eater? I've long thought something was off about her. Her complexion always looks so bad after she eats. Could it be that she's forcing herself to vomit? Her whole image is collapsing. Public opinion, which at first was full of sympathy, quickly turned to skepticism and ridicule. When a wall falls, everyone pushes it over. Some brands that had once worked with her also quietly began deleting promotional materials related to her. I knew Zhou Qian's commercial value was collapsing at avalanche speed. All of this was within my expectations. At home, I leisurely sipped a bowl of warm pumpkin porridge while scrolling through these news stories. My stomach needed a rest too. After all, the war was still a long one. The next afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. On the other end of the line was the voice of a middle-aged woman, her tone extremely unfriendly. Is this Jian Ran? I'm Zhou Qian's mother. Hello, Auntie. I replied politely, don't call me Auntie, I don't have a junior like you. Her voice suddenly rose. I'm asking you, what exactly did Qian do to wrong you, that you had to harm her like this? She's still lying in the hospital right now. The doctor said her gastric lining was severely damaged, and she almost had a perforated stomach. Did you go off and pig out and drink with her? What kind of friend are you? I listened quietly to her rant, and found it somewhat amusing. So, in their eyes, I was still that little follower who always took Zhou Qian's lead. "Auntie, are you mistaken?" I said in an innocent and confused tone. "I haven't been feeling well lately, so I've been resting at home and haven't even stepped out the door. I only found out about Qian's live stream incident from the news. I was still worried about her. Why would you think I harmed her?" There was silence on the other end of the line. She probably hadn't expected me to react like that. You really don't?" "No, of course I don't," I sighed. "Qian is a big internet celebrity now. She's usually so busy, so we hardly keep in touch anymore. Auntie, please don't worry. Taking good care of Qian's health is the most important thing." I comforted her in a hypocritical yet polite manner, then hung up the phone, looked twisting right and wrong. Who can't do that? That night, I got another call from Zhou Qian this time. Her voice was as weak as a thread that could snap at any moment. "Jiang Ran, come to the hospital, let's talk." I arrived as promised. In the VIP ward, I saw Zhou Qian, gaunt and haggard. She was wearing blue and white striped hospital pajamas, her face drained of all color, and an 4 needle was still inserted in her hand. When she saw me, a hint of malice flashed in her cloudy eyes. "You're here." "I'm here." I pulled the chair over to the bedside and sat down. I even thoughtfully took an apple from the fruit basket and slowly started peeling it. Crunch! I took a bite of the apple, and the crisp sound rang out especially jarringly in the quiet hospital room. Zhou Qian's body trembled involuntarily. "Please, let me go," she finally spoke, her voice hoarse. "How much money you want? I'll give it to you, as long as you stop eating." I looked at her and smiled. "Money, Zhou Qian, have you forgotten? My family may not be incredibly wealthy, but we've never lacked money. What I'm missing is the 50 pounds of flesh you stole from me. What I'm missing is the dignity you trampled underfoot. Can you buy these with money?" Her face turned even paler. Then what do you want?" I accurately tossed the apple core I had finished eating into the trash can. Then I leaned close to her ear and said, word by word, in a voice only the two of us could hear, "I want to ruin you completely. I want you to hold a press conference, say everything you've done, in front of everyone. Tell them you're not some chosen daughter of heaven, you're just a shameless thief who stole other people's health and lives. Tell them your perfect figure was bought with the 200 pounds of fat I lost. Do you dare?" Zhou Qian's eyes widened abruptly, her body trembled violently from fear and anger. You lunatic, madman." I straightened up and looked down at her. "Isn't this all because you forced me? I'll give you one day to think it over, at this time tomorrow. If you still don't give me an answer." I picked up another apple and shook it at her. "Then I'll have no choice but to make the decision for you. For example, how about trying that new all-you-can-eat seafood place in our city? I heard their king crab is pretty good." I carried the fruit basket and walked out of the hospital room, thick with the smell of disinfectant. Behind me came Zhou Qian's heavy breathing, suppressed with anger and fear. I felt calmer than I had ever been. It could even be said to be pleasure. I gave her a choice. One was a path to survival, where she would be disgraced and ruined, but perhaps find release. The other was a dead end, continue being dragged along by me and fall into the endless hell. I know that, given her personality, she would choose neither of those two paths. She would choose the third one, that is, find a way to get rid of me, this nuisance. I went home and took a hot shower. In the mirror, that bloated body still feels strangely unfamiliar to me, but my gaze has become firm and sharp. This body is both the armor of my revenge and my weapon. I spent the afternoon in calm. I didn't order takeout, I just drank some vegetable juice. It gave my stomach, and Zhou Qian's stomach as well, a moment to catch their breath before a storm arrives. Things are always especially quiet. In the evening, my phone rang. It was my mom calling. Ran, how have you been lately?" Her voice was full of careful concern. "I'm doing pretty well, Mom. What's wrong?" I heard from Qian's mother that you haven't been in very good shape lately. She said you've been cooped up at home, eating and drinking all kinds of junk, and have gained a lot of weight. She also said your mental state is a little off." I held the phone, the smile at the corners of my mouth growing colder and colder. "It's here, just as expected." Zhou Qian's third move: smear me, define me as a mentally deranged lunatic. In that case, everything I've said will become the ramblings of a madman. No one will believe the accusations of a binge-eating patient. What a brilliant move to cut off the problem at its root. "Mom, I'm fine." I tried to make my voice sound as normal as possible. "It's just that I've been a bit stressed lately, and my appetite has improved a little." Qian's mother was probably just concerned about me and exaggerated a bit. "Don't worry. Are you really okay? Do you want to see a doctor?" Her mother's tone was full of concern. Qian's mother said she could help arrange a very good psychiatrist. See, they'd even thought of a fallback plan for me. As long as I'm diagnosed with a mental health issue, Zhou Qian can completely rest easy. She can even win the public's sympathy by portraying herself as a saintly figure who stayed by her sick best friend's side and never gave up on her. Turn my obesity into her new traffic code. This woman is truly vile to the core. "Mom, I'm really fine," I patiently soothed her. "I know my own body. You and Dad shouldn't overthink it. Zhou Qian, do you think that by doing this, you can put me in a checkmate? Do you think you can still, like before, control public opinion and control my life? You're wrong. I am no longer the naive, foolish Jiangren I used to be. I opened my phone and looked at the chat history between Zhou Qian and me. I looked at the words she had sent, things like fat pig. I looked at the screenshot of that system in her notes. I sorted all this evidence into categories, organized it, encrypted it, and then uploaded it to the cloud. After finishing all that, I looked at the clock on the wall. There was only 1 hour left until the 24-hour deadline I had given her. She hadn't contacted me. This means she has already made her choice. Good. I should also start my next step. I opened the live streaming software. I didn't use beauty filters, and I didn't use any filters. I pointed the most honest, the most brutal camera at my own face, swollen from obesity. Then, I registered a new account. The account was called Revenge of the 200 Gene Woman. Then, I posted my first live stream announcement. Tonight at 9:00 p.m., I'll livestream myself eating 10 pounds of king crab raw, challenging the limits of human appetite. Will it be a gluttonous feast, or a death carnival? See you there. At the end of the post, I tagged Zhou Qian's account, the one with 3 million followers, Qian who can't gain weight. Zhou Qian, don't you like live streaming? Don't you enjoy the feeling of being the center of attention in front of the camera? Then I'll play along with you. Let's see, tonight, whose livestream room will become a true hell on earth. At 9 o'clock that evening, I started the livestream right on time. There was no fancy background, no professional lighting. Right at the most ordinary dining table in my house. In the shot, I'm wearing a loose black t-shirt, with my hair casually tied back. At 200 pounds, I looked like a little mountain on camera. Just as the livestream started, a few people trickled in one by one. Most of them were drawn in by that sensational headline. A small number came over as onlookers from Zhou Qian's side. Whoa, is this streamer for real? 200 pounds, clickbait, right? 10 pounds of king crab, how could anyone possibly finish that? Is this the account that tagged Qian? Riding on the hype, the barrage was filled with skepticism and mockery. I ignored them. I simply silently lifted that huge shipping box onto the table. Then, in front of everyone, I tore open the seal. A crimson, claw-flashing king crab suddenly appeared before the camera. It was bigger than my face. The live stream room fell silent for a second, then the barrage of comments exploded. Damn, seriously, such a huge king crab. The streamer's a beast. He's going all out. How much would this cost? Sugar mama, please take me in. I said nothing, just silently put on my gloves and started handling this colossal creature. I handled it very roughly. I used kitchen scissors to cut open the crab leg, exposing the plump crab meat inside. Then, right there in front of the camera, I started gnawing on it mouthful after mouthful. The sweet, fresh crab meat, with a hint of ocean saltiness, spread through my mouth. Very tasty, but I didn't eat it with any enjoyment. My expression was numb and cold. The number of people in the live stream room began to slowly rise, from dozens of people, to hundreds, and then to over 1,000. Meanwhile, at the other end of the city, Zhou Qian's team also urgently launched a live stream. The location was right in her VIP hospital room. She was wearing a hospital gown and light, delicate makeup, looking pitiful and fragile. Her agent, Brother Wang, sat beside her, facing the camera and explaining solemnly and righteously, "Hello, all fans and media friends. We sincerely apologize for Qian's live stream accident a few days ago. Qian only developed acute gastroenteritis because she has been working too hard and eating irregularly. Her condition is no longer serious now. Thank you all for your concern. As for those on the internet who are trying to ride the wave of popularity and maliciously spread rumors, our company will reserve the right to pursue legal responsibility." Wang's words were watertight. Zhou Qian was also standing nearby, squeezing out a few tears and playing the role of a victim at just the right moment. Her fans were instantly roused into action, feeling so sorry for Qian. Get some good rest. I knew someone would kick her when she's down. Shameless. Support Qian's fight for her rights. Sue that fat bastard to death. The two live stream rooms formed a stark yet ironic contrast. On one side, it was a hypocritical whitewashing campaign. On the other, it was a silent feast. I finished off an entire crab leg. The cold crab meat went into my stomach, bringing a slight sense of fullness. I knew that Zhou Qian was starting to feel it too. Sure enough, Zhou Qian, who was interacting with her fans in the hospital room live stream, frowned slightly. She instinctively touched her lower abdomen. I let out a cold laugh and picked up the second crab leg, then the third, the fourth. I ate faster and faster, my movements growing rougher and rougher. Crab meat, crab roe. I was like a black hole, devouring everything in its path. My stomach began to protest. A feeling of fullness surged over me like a tide, but I did not stop. I knew that with every extra bite I took, Zhou Qian's suffering would double. In the ward, Zhou Qian's face began to turn pale. Tiny beads of sweat began to form on her Forehead, Chan, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Agent Wang keenly noticed that something was off about her. No, nothing. Zhou Qian forced a smile. Maybe it's a little stuffy in the ward. As soon as she finished speaking, on my side, I had already stuffed the last piece of crab meat into my mouth. A full 10 pounds of king crab had been completely devoured by me alone. My stomach was already stretched to its limit. And in the hospital room, Zhou Qian could no longer hold on. Ugh. She let out a painful groan and suddenly doubled over. She clutched her stomach, her body convulsing violently. My stomach, so bloated, so painful, it feels like it's about to split open, she wailed in agony, her whole face twisted in pain. Everyone in the live stream room was stunned by this sudden scene. What's going on? Has Chan Qian's illness flared up again? Call the doctor, hurry. Agent Wang was also thrown into a panic and quickly cut off the live stream. The ward instantly descended into chaos, and in my live stream room, the bullet comments, however, fell into an eerie silence. Everyone saw it. The moment I finished the last bite of crab meat, Zhou Qian collapsed. Once could be said to be a coincidence. What about twice? A bold netizen posted a bullet comment. Why do I feel that Chan Qian's reaction is synchronized with this fat streamer's eating? This bullet comment was like a stone thrown into a lake, instantly stirring up 1,000 waves. Holy crap, now that you say it, it really does seem that way. Last time it was the spicy chicken wings too. As soon as she finished eating them, Chan Qian threw up. What kind of mystical event is this? Could it be that this fat guy put some kind of curse on Chan Qian? The direction of public opinion began to veer wildly toward a bizarre and uncanny path. I looked at the scrolling barrage of comments on the screen and gave a cold smile. I let out a burp and said to the camera, word by word, everyone, want to know the truth? Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, same time, I will live stream the challenge, 100 oysters. We continue. After saying that, I turned off the live streaming. Zhou Qian, do you think hiding in the hospital and playing the victim will let you clear your name? I won't let you get what you want. I'm going to expose that hypocritical mask of yours, layer by layer, with my own hands, in front of the entire internet. My second live stream went completely viral. A clip video titled "A 200-pound streamer takes on King Crab head-on," while a rival streamer simultaneously falls critically ill spread like wildfire across major short video platforms. Its views broke 10 million overnight. My live stream account's follower count exploded from a few hundred to 1,000,000. Countless onlookers flooded into my comment section. They called me a witch doctor, an occult live streamer, and a weapon of karmic law. All kinds of bizarre speculations kept emerging one after another. Of course, there were also many people cursing me, saying that I would stop at nothing to get famous and was maliciously cursing others. Zhou Qian's fans even organized an online troll army, viciously launching personal attacks in my comments section. Fat pig, get out of the live streaming industry, disgusting thing, hope the fat kills you soon, clout chasing off our Chan Qian's popularity, do you deserve it? I looked at those vicious remarks, feeling no ripple in my heart. In fact, I even felt like laughing a little. The more fiercely they scolded me, the higher my popularity rose. Zhou Qian's team clearly realized this as well. They no longer dared let Zhou Qian appear in public, and could only send out a lawyer's letter warning that they would sue me for spreading rumors and defamation. This pale and feeble warning, in the eyes of netizens, looked more like anger and embarrassment, an attempt to cover up the truth. The fire of public opinion burned hotter and hotter. Everyone seemed to be waiting for the opening of a grand spectacle, waiting for tonight's 9 p.m. 100 oysters challenge, and the other main character in this grand drama, Zhou Qian, was now suffering in hell. The aftereffects of the king crab were far stronger than I had imagined. It was an extreme, tearing sense of fullness. I could imagine the agony of her lying in a hospital bed, feeling as if her internal organs were being squeezed and distorted. The doctor couldn't find any cause. All of it could only be attributed to functional gastrointestinal disorder of nervous origin. In the afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. On the other end of the line was a calm male voice. Hello, is this MS? Jiang Ran, I'm Zhou Qian's agent, Wang Kai. Oh, the scheming advisor by the lead actor's side had finally lost his composure. Mr. Wang, what can I do for you? I asked in a calm tone. I think we need to talk. Wang Kai's voice sounded a little weary. Can you cancel the live stream tonight? You set the terms. Anything I can do, I'll agree to. His tone carried a hint of pleading. It seems Zhou Qian's situation is even worse than I imagined. Conditions. I gave a soft laugh. I made my conditions very clear to Zhou Qian yesterday. Let her hold a press conference and make all the truth public. As long as she does that, I'll stop immediately. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Miss Jiang, Wang Kai's tone became serious. What you're doing won't do any good for either you or Zhou Qian. It will only end in both sides suffering losses. Right now, our Qian is the company's top streamer. If she falls, the company's losses will be immeasurable. You're making an enemy of our entire company. He started threatening me. Is that so? I wasn't the least bit moved. So what? I don't even care about my own body anymore. Do you think I'd care about your company, Mr. Wang? I advise you to think carefully about my proposal. After all, Zhou Qian's body is your company's biggest asset, isn't it? Given how she is now, how much value can she still create for you, rather than letting her drag on like this, half dead, only to be completely devoured by public backlash in the end? Why not let her come clean on her own? At least she can earn the good reputation of having the courage to admit her mistakes. Maybe she could even switch gears and become an inspirational influencer, telling the story of how she strayed from the path, then suddenly saw the light. This is much more dignified than being a victim of some mystical incident now, isn't it? My words were like a precise surgical knife, slicing open the core of the interests they cared about most, and were also the most hypocritical about. Wang Kai fell silent again, this time. The silence lasted even longer. I could feel that he was weighing it, calculating, as a businessman, what he considered had never been right or wrong, only the maximization of profit. I need time to discuss it with the company. After a long while, he finally spoke hoarsely. Okay, I answered promptly, but before you come to an agreement, my live stream will continue. Tonight's oysters are just an appetizer. Tomorrow, maybe it'll be a 30 pounds whole roast lamb. The day after tomorrow, maybe it'll be 100 deep-fried donuts. I'd like to see just how sturdy your money tree really is. Can you hold up against me after several rounds of bombardment? After hanging up the phone, I walked to the refrigerator and took out the box of fresh oysters I had ordered yesterday. Each one was as big as a palm, plump and juicy. Looking at them, I could almost already see Zhou Qian's face twisted in fear and despair. Zhou Qian, Wang Kai, you can take your time discussing it. My feast is about to begin. This live stream, named Retribution, was started by your own hands. I will be its most perfect host. At 9 o'clock in the evening, my live stream room lit up on time. The number of viewers instantly surged past 300,000, and that number was still skyrocketing at a terrifying pace. My screen was packed with a dense flood of scrolling comments and IDs. Some were curious, some skeptical, some insulting, and some expectant. I became the center of the storm, a 200-pound, silent center. I didn't look at the barrage. In front of me sat a huge foam box, in front of everyone. I opened it. A whole box full of fresh oysters, still covered in cold moisture, appeared before the camera. Each one was as big as my palm. In the live stream room, a chorus of gasps rang out. Holy shit, they're for real. Is that like 100 of them? Is the streamer's stomach made of iron, straight up raw, not even a lemon? I didn't answer any questions. I simply picked up an oyster and, with an oyster knife, deftly pried open the shell, revealing the glistening, plump, and tender oyster meat inside. Then I tilted my head back and slid that cool oyster meat, with its briny, salty scent of seawater, into my mouth. No chewing, I swallowed it straight down. A cold chill slid down my esophagus and all the way into my stomach. Very fishy. It's very cold, but I remained expressionless. I picked up the second one, pried it open, swallow it, the third one, the fourth one. My movements were like those of a machine programmed in advance, precise, numb, and ruthless. The number of people in the live stream had already exceeded 500,000. Everyone was stunned by the reckless way I was eating. I knew that on the other side of countless screens, there was a pair of eyes staring fixedly at me, or rather, they were staring at my mouth. That person might have been Zhou Qian. It could also have been Wang Kai, or it might have been their company's entire PR team at this moment. They must be praying frantically in their hearts, praying that this is just a sensational performance, praying that once I get to the 10th one, I'll stop. Too bad, I'm going to disappoint them. 10, 20, 30. My speed did not slow down at all. My stomach began to throb with waves of icy pain. It felt as if countless icy needles were stabbing and churning wildly inside it. I knew that Zhou Qian was feeling it 10 times more intensely than I was. She had just suffered severe damage to the gastric mucosa. Her stomach is now as fragile as a thin sheet of paper. These cold, raw, fishy foods are the cruelest torture instruments for her. I can almost see her lying in the hospital bed, her face pale, cold sweat streaming down. She must be clutching her stomach, curled up in agony. The doctors gathered around her, helpless, because all the instruments showed that she hadn't eaten anything. Her suffering had become an inexplicable medical mystery. At that thought, a cold smile curled at the corner of my mouth. I ate even faster. 50. I'm almost at my limit. The churning in my stomach almost made me throw up, but with my powerful willpower, I forced it down with all my might. I can't throw up. I have to make sure all of this stays firmly in my stomach, then I'll pass on the exact same pain to Zhou Qian. Not a bit less. The barrage of comments in the live stream room had already shifted from Shock to fear, streamer, stop eating. Do you not care about your life? Just watching this is making my stomach hurt. Stop already. This isn't competitive eating anymore. This is self-harm. Of course I was self-harming, but I dragged Zhou Qian along with me. 80 and 90. My vision began to darken in waves. My body trembled uncontrollably from the cold. I picked up the last oyster, the 100th one. I used up my last bit of strength to pry it open. Then, facing the camera, I flashed a bizarre smile. Zhou Qian, watch closely. This is the last gift I'm giving you. I swallowed it in one gulp. The instant I swallowed it, it was as if I heard a shrill, desperate scream coming from a distant hospital ward. Then came the sound of a plate shattering, the blaring of medical alarms, and the cries of shock from the doctors and nurses. It had turned into utter chaos. I knew she completely broke down, and I, too, finally couldn't hold on anymore. I turned off the live stream and rushed into the bathroom, clutching the toilet and vomiting until I was dizzy and disoriented. Everything in my stomach seemed to have turned into sharp shards of glass. It cut through my internal organs, leaving them dripping with blood, but I lay on the cold floor, laughed until tears came out. Zhou Qian, are you satisfied with this feast? My third live stream directly blew up the entire internet. The influence even surpassed the gossip of any top-tier celebrity, the 100 Oyster Challenge, and the last thing I said during my live stream were edited into countless versions. They spread virally across all social media platforms. Zhou Qian, watch closely. This sentence has become the hottest buzzword on the internet. It carries a bizarre, horrifying, yet irresistibly intriguing magic. The relationship between Zhou Qian and me was also dug up thoroughly by the omnipotent netizens. Photos of us growing up together. The screenshot where I once cheered her on in my social circle for her big eater career. And the comparison photos showing me, a skinny person who weighed 52.5 kg, ballooning up to 100 kilograms in just a few months. All the clues pointed to an unbelievable truth, a truth that was enough to overturn everyone's worldview. I think I get it now. Did Jiang Ren give his own flesh to Zhou Qian, so that's why Zhou Qian can eat like crazy without gaining weight? Because everything she eats ends up on Jiang Ren's body. What kind of urban legend is this? A real-life version of food substitution? That's way too fantastical. If that's true, then Zhou Qian is way too vicious. She's basically inhuman. Public opinion has completely turned in my favor, as unbelievable as it sounds, but in the two live streams, Zhou Qian's overly coincidental simultaneous reactions led countless people to start believing this most absurd speculation. Zhou Qian's company has fallen into the biggest PR crisis since its founding. Their stock hit the limit down as soon as the market opened. All of the partner brands announced overnight that they were terminating their contracts with Zhou Qian. When the wall falls, everyone gives it a push. At noon that day, I received a call from Wan Kai. His voice was hoarse and tired, and it no longer carried the arrogance it had before. Miss Jiang, let's meet. You name the place. I did not refuse. I knew this day would come eventually. I chose a quiet, serene tea house. When I arrived, Wan Kai was already there. He looked even more haggard than he had sounded on the phone. There were heavy dark circles under his eyes, and his hair was somewhat disheveled. When he saw me, he forced out a smile that looked worse than crying. Miss Jiang, you're here. I said nothing, only sat down calmly across from him. The server brought tea. The curling fragrance of tea, for the moment, eased the heavy atmosphere in the air. Qian, she's in very bad condition. Wan Kai was the first to break the silence. Acute gastrointestinal perforation, along with a severe stress induced psychological disorder. The doctor said she almost didn't make it through the rescue. Now, whenever she sees any food, she'll have a severe vomiting reaction. Even water can't be swallowed. I picked up the teacup and gently blew on it. So what? I asked flatly. Did Mr. Wan come here today just to repeat her condition to me? No, it wasn't. Wan Kai took a deep breath, as if he had made some major decision. I'm here on behalf of the company, and on behalf of Zhou Qian, to apologize to you. We are willing to meet all your demands. Money, fame, resources, whatever we can give, we can provide. We can even help you build a brand new account, so you can become a more popular streamer than Zhou Qian. We only ask that you show mercy, spare her, and spare our company too. He was very humble, so low it sank into the dust, but looking at that face of his, all filled with calculated self-interest, I only found it laughable. President Wine. I set down my teacup. You still don't seem to understand. What I want has never been any of this. What I want is just justice. I'll state my terms one more time. Have Zhou Qian hold a press conference, bring up the existence of that weight swap system, and everything she has done to me, say it all exactly as it happened, in front of the whole world, then kneel down and kowtow to apologize to me. Wan Kai's face instantly turned ashen. Miss Jiang, you're pushing her to the edge. Admitting this publicly will ruin her life. Our company will collapse completely. too, and what does that have to do with me? I shot back coldly. When she destroyed me back then, why didn't she think there would be a day like today? When you were making a fortune off my fat back then, why didn't you think there would be retribution? The negotiations had fallen into deadlock. Wan Kai stared at me fixedly, his expression unreadable after a long while, as if he had finally made up his mind. He took a document out of his briefcase and pushed it toward me. Miss Jiang, I advise you to leave yourself some room in everything you do. Don't be too ruthless when dealing with people. His voice became cold again. We looked into you. Your parents run a small food processing factory, right? The business is doing pretty well, but it is also very fragile, you say. If their suppliers suddenly all run out of stock, if their factories were suddenly found to have serious fire hazards and sanitation problems, if, on top of that, a few customers who ate their products started showing symptoms of food poisoning, what will happen? I looked at him, my gaze growing colder by the second. He actually used my parents to threaten me. Wan Kai, I called his name, word by word. You have successfully angered me. I picked up that document and tore it to pieces in front of him. Then, I stood up and looked down at him from above. Do you think this will make me compromise? You're wrong. You've only given me one reason I must drag your entire company down into hell. Go back and tell Zhou Qian, tell your company's board, the game has been upgraded. When I got home, I locked the door behind me. Wan Kai's sullen face, and his threatening words, kept echoing in my mind. Anger, boundless rage, like magma, burning in my chest. They actually dared to lay a hand on my family. They crossed my one and only, non-negotiable line. Zhou Qian and Wan Kai, and that company behind them, which grew by feeding on my flesh and blood. You all deserve to die. I slumped onto the sofa, gasping for breath. I had to calm down. Anger would solve nothing. It would only lead me into their trap. They threatened me, just trying to scare me and make me hold back. I refuse. I'm going to show them what it really means to go all out, even if it means mutual destruction. I need a more powerful weapon than one, a weapon that could make them feel the pain as if it were their own, and feel true fear. One, an ultimate weapon that could utterly destroy all their hope. My gaze fell on the corner of the room. There was a small liquor cabinet. Inside, there were several bottles of strong liquor my dad had brought back for me from his business trips, vodka, whiskey, and another bottle, said to have an alcohol content as high as 96%, pure spirit of life. I used to have no interest in any of this. I even had a mild alcohol allergy, but now, staring at these crystal clear liquids, a wild, audacious plan, one that could take us both down, slowly took shape in my mind. The system can transfer heat, it can transfer satiety, it can transfer the physical pain caused by food. Then, can it transfer the chemical reactions caused by alcohol, for example, dizziness, for example, nausea, for example, confusion, for example, alcohol poisoning? Zhou Qian's body is now already an empty shell, fragile, sensitive. Even drinking water would make her vomit. If I were to make her, on her hospital bed, without any warning, passively fall into a state of deep intoxication, what would happen? Would her body be able to it? Would her will be able to withstand it? This thought, like a devil's seed, took root and sprouted wildly in the depths of my heart. I stood up and walked over to the wine cabinet. I took out the bottle known as the water of life, the strongest liquor in the world. I twisted off the cap. A strong, pungent smell of alcohol hit me in an instant. Just one whiff made me feel a little dizzy. Good, this is it. I took out my phone and opened my live streaming app again. My follower count had already surpassed 3 million, exactly the same as Zhou Qian's peak period. How ironic. I edited a new live stream announcement. The text is very simple, only one sentence. Tonight at 9, live tasting, the water of life. Some say that drunk words are honest words. I wonder if we can hear some interesting truths. At the end of this passage, I not only mentioned Zhou Qian, I also mentioned her company's official account, and Wan Kai's personal social media account. After doing all this, I tossed my phone aside. Then, I walked into the kitchen and made myself a bowl of plain noodles with no taste at all. I needed to fill my stomach before tonight's final showdown, or rather, to fill Zhou Qian's stomach, so that she could welcome this baptism of alcohol in the most bloated state possible. Wan Kai, don't you want to protect your company? Don't you want to keep Zhou Qian, that cash cow, tonight? I'll do it in front of the whole internet. Uproot this tree with your own hands, then set a fire and burn your entire forest to the ground. My live stream announcement exploded like a depth charge in the commotion of the internet. The entire internet went crazy. Water of life. Isn't that the vodka with 96% alcohol? Has the streamer lost her mind? This is live streaming suicide. Damn, she even mentioned Zhou Qian and her company. Is she planning to drag everyone down with her? This is no longer mysticism. This is a blatant death threat. My name, along with the term water of Life surged to the top of the trending lists on every platform at an unprecedented speed. The buzz even surpassed any previous time. Everyone realized that tonight, something major was going to happen. My phone had been ringing nonstop since the afternoon. On the screen, the same name kept flashing, Wankai. I didn't answer even once. I just stood silently watching it light up again and again, then go dark again and again. I know, he must be as anxious as an ant on a hot pan right now. He must be using all his connections to try to find me and stop me. But he can't find me. I already switched to an anonymous phone card, only I know where I live. At 5 in the afternoon, the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw several men in suits and ties. At the front was Wankai. There was no longer any trace of the arrogance and chill he had shown in the tea house on his face. In their place was an unmistakable restlessness and fear. Miss Jung, I know you're in there. He pounded hard on the door. Let's talk. You can make any demands you want, please. Cancel tonight's livestream. His voice carried a pleading tone. I ignored him. I simply drew the curtains, cutting myself off from everything outside. Then, I went into the kitchen and cooked myself a bowl of plain noodles and water. I ate very slowly, very carefully. Each bite felt like I was carrying out a sacred ritual. I want to fill my stomach to the fullest before the day of final judgment arrives. Outside the door, Wankai was still shouting futilely. Later, he began to issue threats. Jiang ran. Don't be so ungrateful. If you keep this up, we'll have no choice but to call the police. By then, you'll be guilty of assault. Call the police. I laughed. Would they dare? Once the police get involved, the system's business can no longer be kept secret. They can't afford to take that gamble. The knocking and shouting went on for more than 2 hours, until the sky gradually darkened outside. Silence finally returned. They should have left. Perhaps they had given up, or perhaps, to go back and discuss a new strategy, but none of that mattered anymore, because there wasn't much time left. I took a shower and changed into a clean black dress. I even put on light makeup for myself. I was going to greet this event in the most dignified manner. This final feast I had carefully prepared for them. I sat at the dining table. On the table, there were only 3 things: a laptop, a clean glass, and that bottle of the water of life. Standing quietly like the Grim Reaper's scythe, I looked at the clock on the wall. The second hand ticks forward, 1 notch at a time, and with every beat, it sounds like the tolling of a death knell for Zhou Qian and the business empire behind her. 8:59. I took a deep breath and opened the live streaming app. Then, I turned the camera toward myself. At last, the clock hands pointed to exactly 9:00. I reached out and pressed the start live stream button. The screen lit up. The trial has begun. The moment the live stream started, my screen froze, not because the internet was bad. Rather, it was because the number of people flooding into the live stream room was simply far too many. 1 million, 3 million, 5 million. Finally, the number of people online in the back-end skyrocketed to an unprecedented figure, 10 million. The entire server was on the verge of collapse. The barrage of comments, like a white waterfall, crazily flooded across the screen. It was so fast that you couldn't make out a single word. Everyone knew that tonight they would witness history. I said nothing. I just sat quietly in front of the camera. My gaze calmly swept over the frenetically scrolling barrage of comments on the screen. The live stream room was eerily quiet. Aside from the sound of the scrolling comments, there was nothing else. Everyone held their breath, waiting for my next move. A full 3 minutes passed. Only then did I slowly reach out my hand and pick up that bottle of life water. I held it up in front of the camera, so everyone could clearly see that glaring 96% on the bottle. Then, I twisted off the cap. I didn't use a bottle opener. I bit it open myself with my own teeth. The crisp sound, carried through the microphone, clearly reached everyone's ears. I picked up the glass and poured in that clear yet dangerous liquid, like industrial alcohol, a full cup. I picked up the wine glass and finally spoke. My voice was not loud, but it was exceptionally clear. Zhou Qian, Wankai, and your company, all the executives, I know you're all watching. I paused, a cold smile tugging at the corners of my lips. This glass, I raise to you, for turning me from a healthy 105 pounds person into a 200 pounds monster, to you, for trampling on my flesh and dignity to build your business empire, to you, for using the safety of my parents to threaten me. Now, please, enjoy this properly, watch me, and see how I'll return all of this, double. After saying that, I tilted my head up. Drink the full cup of the water of life in one gulp. Fire, it blazed beyond words. It instantly burned from the tip of my tongue to my throat. Then, it surged down my esophagus and straight into my stomach, as if what I had swallowed was not wine, but a cup of molten iron, scalding hot. The intense pain made my whole body tremble. My face instantly flushed red, my eyes were bloodshot, but I made no sound. I was even smiling, because I know, in that luxurious VIP ward in the hospital, there is someone enduring torment 10 times, 100 times more painful than mine. She will be caught. Completely off guard, passively, she would experience all the sensations of a 200 pounds fat man drinking high-proof liquor on an empty stomach. Her stomach would be perforated in an instant, her nerves would be completely numbed by alcohol, her consciousness would plunge into boundless darkness. In the live stream room, everyone was stunned by my crazy move. The barrage of comments paused for a fleeting moment. Then it became even more frantic. She's crazy, she actually drank it, call the police. Someone will die. I ignored them, I just panted heavily and picked up the bottle, then I poured myself another full glass. This cup, my voice had become hoarse from pain. I offer this toast to you in place of my parents. Let me tell you, some people, you can't afford to mess with. There are some boundaries you people must not cross. After saying that, I tipped my head back again. I poured the second glass of water of life down my throat. This time, my brain felt like it had been hit by a bullet. With a boom, it exploded into a blank void. My vision began to blur. The world spun around me. I could hardly keep hold of the wine glass in my hand. At that moment, my phone started ringing wildly. It was Wan Kai looking at the caller ID. I broke into a triumphant smile. I pressed the speakerphone button. Then, he placed the phone beside the microphone. The next second, Wan Kai's shrill scream, completely distorted by extreme fear, echoed through the entire live stream. Stop right now. Jian Ran, you devil, she's not going to make it, she's coughing up blood. The doctor said she has acute alcohol poisoning and severe internal bleeding. Stop now, I'm begging you, we give up, we'll agree to anything you want. Wan Kai's scream, transmitted through the microphone, rang out clearly across the entire internet. That voice was filled with despair, fear, and utter collapse. Every word he said was like a heavy hammer blow. It struck hard at everyone's heart. Acute alcohol poisoning, massive internal bleeding, admit defeat. He admitted it himself in front of more than 10 million people. I admitted it. The unbelievable, eerie connection between Zhou Qian and me. I admitted it. The bloody truth behind this online frenzy. The live stream room completely blew up. The barrage of comments could no longer be described as merely crazy. It was a super tsunami made of words. Holy crap, what did I just hear? Wan Kai admitted it himself. It's all true. Oh my god, Zhou Qian is really taking it on for her. What kind of sorcery is this? So, Jian Ran's obesity was really caused by Zhou Qian. That woman is so vicious, serves her right. This is fucking karma. At this moment, public opinion completely exploded. No one questioned me anymore. No one ever sympathized with Zhou Qian again. Everything had been settled once and for all. I looked at the camera and tried hard to sit up straight, but the after effects of the alcohol were too strong. My body was already no longer obeying me. My consciousness, too, had begun to blur. I used up my last bit of strength to steady myself on the table and lean toward the microphone. Then, in a voice so soft it was almost inaudible, yet so cold it could freeze the soul, I slowly said, Wan Kai, listen carefully. No, it is not something that can end just because you admit defeat. I want Zhou Qian ruined and disgraced. I want your company to go completely bankrupt. I want every one of you to pay the most painful price for what you've done. This is when the game truly begins. After saying this, I could no longer hold on. My vision went black, and I completely lost consciousness. My head slammed heavily against the table. The live stream image froze on my pale face, which wore an eerie smile. Then, suddenly, it cut to black. The live stream was cut off, but the entire internet, because of the abrupt end of that live stream, fell into even more complete frenzy. The screen recording I had made, and the last sentence I said, spread to every corner at the speed of light. Hashtag Jian Ran livestream drinking life water hashtag Wan Kai recording hashtag Zhou Qian massive internal bleeding hashtag weight exchange system hashtag. Countless sensational headlines exploded the entire server in an instant. Zhou Qian's company issued a feeble statement overnight, claiming that the recording was AI generated and that it was maliciously fabricated. But no one believed them anymore. Before the market opened the next day, their stock had already been predicted to crash to the point of being worthless. All their partners terminated their contracts overnight. Other artists under the company also successively issued statements, announcing that they were severing ties with the company. That towering commercial edifice built with my flesh and blood, in just 1 hour, it completely collapsed and fell apart, and when I woke up again, I found myself lying on a soft bed, not a hospital. It was my home, my bed. Sunlight streamed in through the gap in the curtains. My head hurt badly. It felt like it was about to split open. My stomach was still aching faintly. I struggled to sit up. I found a glass of warm water and a note on the nightstand. The handwriting on the note was very messy, but I recognized it. That was my dad's handwriting. Ran, when you wake up, drink the water. Mom and Dad are back. Don't be afraid. We've got everything under control. I looked at that note, and tears uncontrollably spilled out of my eyes. I won, but I lost too. I ruined Zhou Qian, yet I also ruined myself. I picked up my phone, on the screen. The entire thing was flooded with news about me. Among them, the most eye-catching one was #ZhouQian, brain dead hashtag. The doctor said it was due to acute alcohol poisoning, which caused oxygen deprivation in the brain. Although she was rescued, she had become a vegetative state patient. She would lie on that hospital bed forever. She would not die, and would never wake up. And my live stream account, for promoting self-harm and other dangerous behavior, had already been permanently banned by the platform. I looked at the news with no feeling at all, no satisfaction. There was no sadness either. My heart was like a wasteland scorched by a raging fire. All that remained was a dead, silent expanse of ash. Just then, my phone rang again. It was an unfamiliar number. I hesitated for a moment, but still answered. From the other end of the phone came a cold, emotionless, mechanically synthesized voice. Ding. Detected that host ZhouQian's vital signs have ceased. Weight exchange system, begin unbinding, unbinding progress, 1%. During the unbinding process, the bound subject Jiang Ran's weight will revert to its original state. Countdown, beginning. That cold mechanical voice in my mind was like an oracle. No, it was a death warrant, a death sentence for ZhouQian, and also, the final order ending that nightmare of a life I had lived before unbinding. I lowered my head and looked at my hands. Stubby and thick because of my obesity, a strange sensation crept through every limb and bone in my body in thin, thread-like waves. It was very itchy. It was like countless ants, under my skin, within my layer of fat, frantically gnawing and carrying things away. They were taking something away, something that had never belonged to me in the first place. I threw off the blanket and struggled to get out of bed. My legs were still a little weak. I walked over to the scale I had hated for countless days and nights, and stepped on it. The bright red numbers were jumping wildly. 200, 199, 8, 199, 6. It is going down, although slowly. It is steadily going down at a speed visible to the naked eye, and my eyes welled up with tears again, but this time, not because of despair, because of new life. The bedroom door was gently pushed open. My mother walked in, carrying a bowl of millet porridge. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her face was filled with exhaustion and heartache. When she saw me standing on the scale, her body trembled. Ran. Her voice was extremely hoarse. You're awake. I turned around and looked at her, the person I am closest to in this world. Mom, I called out to her, my voice equally hoarse. The two of us, mother and daughter, just stood there looking at each other. 1,000 words and 10,000 words all got stuck in our throats. In the end, she just walked over and held me tightly. She held this bloated, unfamiliar body of mine. It's okay now, she whispered softly in my ear. It's all in the past. Your dad and I are back. From now on, no one can bully you ever again. My tears finally broke through the dam. I buried my head in the warm embrace and, like a child who had suffered the greatest grievance, cried out loud. I cried for all the pain I had endured over these past few months. I cried for the life that was stolen from me. I cried for that sincerity of mine, trampled into worthlessness. The sound of sobbing echoed through the room. My dad stood at the doorway, and this man, who had been steadfast all his life, also reddened with tears. He silently handed over a tissue. I don't know when they came back. I also don't know how much they know, but I can feel their unconditional acceptance and love. That is enough. After crying, I drank that bowl of millet porridge. It felt warm. It warmed me from my stomach all the way to my heart. My mom told me that after the live stream was interrupted, I was found by police and emergency responders who had forced their way in. By then, I had already fallen into a deep coma due to severe alcohol poisoning. It was they who took me to the hospital for a stomach pump. It was also they who contacted my parents. My parents flew back overnight from out of town. They took me from the hospital back home. As for the storm online, they just told me not to look and not to think about it. Getting plenty of rest and taking care of my health was the most important thing, but I still secretly picked up my phone and opened it. The entire internet had already completely gone crazy. My final live stream was officially defined as the most egregious online streaming incident in recent years. All screen recordings and clips were deleted, but that recording of Wankai breaking down spread like a virus into every corner. It became the final nail in the coffin for ZhouQian and her company. Her company's stock had already plummeted into worthless paper. The official website and app had both completely crashed. Downstairs at the company building, it was surrounded by furious shareholders and business partners who had come to demand their debts. Wankai has been formally detained by the police on charges of suspected incitement of others to engage in dangerous behavior and multiple economic offenses, and business empire collapsed overnight with a thunderous crash, and discussions about the weight exchange system had reached an utterly astonishing level of heat. Some believed it, and some did not. Some people treated it as an urban legend. Others, however, treated it as an entirely new code to wealth. I even saw that some web novelist had already begun serializing a novel Based on my story, it was absurd and ridiculous. I turned off my phone. I no longer paid attention to the noise and chaos outside. My task now was only one, that was to quietly wait for my rebirth, wait for the system unbinding to be completed, wait. The things that belong to me are, little by little, returning to my body. The system's deduction wasn't very fast. Every day, I could lose about 5 pounds. I could clearly feel my body growing lighter day by day. My features are becoming clearer day by day. My clothes are becoming looser day by day. It is an incredibly wonderful experience. It feels like watching, with my own eyes, a sculptor take a bloated, stubborn stone and, bit by bit, carve it back into its original form. This process wasn't painful. In fact, I even found it somewhat enjoyable. I started getting back to a normal diet, light, healthy, and nutritious. I began to fall in love with the taste of food again. Instead of treating it as a weapon for revenge, a week later, my weight dropped to 165 pounds. I was already able to wear that dress in my former largest size, although it was still a little tight. That day, I was reading in my room. The doorbell suddenly rang. My mom went to open the door. Then, I heard a muffled, sorrowful sound of crying. I walked out. I saw two figures that were both familiar and unfamiliar. They were Zhou Qian's parents, in just one night. Zhou Qian's parents seemed to have aged 20 years. Her mother, the woman who had always carried herself with a sense of superiority in front of me, elegant and noble. At this moment, she was dressed in black, her hair streaked with gray, her face covered in tear tracks. Her father, the taciturn businessman who always looked at me with a hint of scrutiny, at this moment as well, his back was hunched, his gaze empty, as if all his vitality had been drained away. Seeing me, in Zhou Qian's mother's eyes, a towering, seething hatred instantly flared up. Like a crazed lioness, she lunged at me. Jiang Ran, you bitch, you murderer, you give me back my daughter, give me back my Qian. Her fingernails, sharp and pointed, lunged toward my face. I didn't dodge, but my dad stepped in first and blocked my way. He tightly grabbed Zhou Qian's mother by the wrist. Mrs. Zhou, please calm down. My father's voice was low, brimming with unassailable authority. This is my home. Whatever you have to say, we can talk about it sitting down. If you're here to cause trouble, then sorry, we can only call the police. Zhou Qian's mother was still struggling wildly, cursing nonstop. Call the police. I'm the one who's calling the police. I'm going to sue you, sue your whole family. It was her. She killed my Qian. Zhou Qian's father finally spoke. His voice was hoarse, as if it had been rubbed with sandpaper. That's enough. Stop making a scene. He grabbed his wife and dragged her onto the sofa. Then he looked up and fixed his bloodshot eyes on me. Jiang Ran, we just want to know the truth. What did Qian actually do to you? Why would you use such an extreme way to get revenge on her? There was no anger in his tone, only a kind of weariness and confusion that cut to the bone. It seemed they still knew nothing, or rather, they were unwilling to believe it, that their once proud daughter would be a demon who stole someone else's life. I said nothing. I simply walked back to my room and took out my phone. Then, right in front of them, I opened the encrypted file I had saved countless times. I placed my phone on the coffee table in front of them. On the screen was a screenshot of Zhou Qian's memo, those few lines of cold, devastating words. Weight swap system successfully bound. Bound target, Jiang Ran, host, Zhou Qian. Then, I opened the chat history between Zhou Qian and me. I opened it and saw the message she had sent me, fat dead pig. In the end, I opened the screenshot of her chat log with someone else. Jiang Ran is just an idiot. She's helping me count the money after I sold her out. Thanks to her fat, I'm now making over $1 million a month. Isn't that hilarious? Silence, a deathly silence, in the living room. The only sound left was Mrs. Zhou Qian's heavy breathing, made rough by shock. She stared at the familiar yet unfamiliar words on the screen, looking at her daughter, that vicious face, full of smugness and contempt. Her body began to tremble violently. The color drained from her face, from disbelief, to shock, and then to complete collapse. No, this isn't real. This isn't my Qian, she murmured to herself. Like she'd gone mad. Zhou Qian's father was also stunned. He stared fixedly at the screen, his body gradually slumped down bit by bit. This man, who had commanded the business world with overwhelming influence, at the very moment he saw the truth, finally, completely, he was utterly defeated. So it turns out, it's like this. He closed his eyes, and 2 streaks of cloudy tears slid down from the corners of his wrinkled eyes. I quietly looked at them, looked at these 2 pitiful parents. Broken down by the truth, I felt no sympathy at all. I only felt very sad for Zhou Qian, and for them even more so, my own past, those more than 10 years of life that had been treated as a joke. Now, do you know the truth? I asked calmly. It was her who first raised the butcher's knife against me. It was she who turned me into a monster. It was she who ruined my life. Everything I did was nothing more than giving back to her the pain she had inflicted on me. This is not called revenge. This is called getting what she deserves. Zhou Qian's mother suddenly looked up, she looked at me, and in her eyes there was no longer hatred, instead, there was a kind of hollow, hopeless plea. Please, save Qian. I know you have a way, you definitely have a way to wake her up, right? As long as you can wake her up, we're willing to give you everything we have, our family's assets, the company, everything will be yours. I looked at her and smiled. The smile was somewhat bleak, Mrs. Zhou, have you forgotten, I am the one who is truly the victim. What you should be begging for now is not me, but your good daughter, who is lying in a hospital bed and will never wake up again. After saying that, I stopped looking at them. I said to my mom and dad, Dad, Mom, I'm tired, please see them out. My dad nodded and walked over to open the door. He made a pleased gesture. Zhou Qian's parents stood up in a daze. Like two puppets whose souls had been pulled out, they supported each other as they walked out of my house. From beginning to end, not another word was spoken. I knew their world had also completely collapsed. The tragedy of a family often begins with decay from within, and Zhou Qian was the fruit that rotted first. After Zhou Qian's parents left, my life completely returned to peace. The system unbinding was still continuing. My weight became lighter day by day. My body, too, became closer day by day to what it originally looked like. Half a month later, my weight dropped to 120 pounds. I can already wear all the clothes I used to own, though they're still a bit tight, but when I stood in front of the mirror, looking at that version of myself, both familiar and unfamiliar, I still couldn't help but cry. I'm back. That Jiang Ren from the past has finally come back, only, some things have changed forever. My gaze, no longer the way it used to be, clear and innocent, but instead, there was more of a cold, sharp air that saw through the world. My heart was hard and cold. I would no longer be easily shaken by anyone or anything. I began to clean up my room. I threw all those oversized, ugly clothes into a garbage bag. I cleared out all those high-calorie, sinful snacks. I cleaned this tiny space, which had held all my pain and humiliation, until it was spotless. It felt like performing a ceremony to bid farewell to the past. My parents didn't ask much. They simply, silently, stayed by my side. They accompanied me to eat, accompanied me to walk, and accompanied me as I readjusted to this world. Their love was like the gentlest medicine. Little by little, it healed the wounds in my heart. 1 month later, my weight was completely restored to 105 pounds. In my mind, that cold mechanical voice rang out for the last time. Ding, the system has been unbound successfully. Wishing you a pleasant life. Then came complete, eternal silence. It left, that devilish system, which brought me endless hell and also enabled me to complete my ultimate revenge. It had finally disappeared from my life completely. I stood on the scale and looked at that number, one I hadn't seen in a long time. 105. I smiled. From the bottom of my heart, I smiled. The storm on the internet gradually subsided as well. Zhou Qian's company officially announced bankruptcy liquidation. Wan Kai was sentenced to 10 years for multiple crimes combined. A business legend had completely fallen into the dust of history. As for Zhou Qian, that once glamorous big-eating live streamer, she lay forever in the hospital bed of that upscale nursing home. I heard that her parents sold the company and the house just to barely cover her exorbitant medical expenses. They will use the rest of their lives to atone for their daughter's crimes. This may be the best outcome. Everyone has received the punishment they deserve. As for me, I became someone who lived only in legends. Some said I was a pitiful fool betrayed by my best friend. Some said I was a witch who used mysticism to take revenge. Some said I was a scheming bitch who would stop at nothing to stir up hype and claw my way to the top. People said all sorts of things, but I no longer cared. I uninstalled all of my social media apps. I changed my phone number. I completely withdrew from that noisy, fake world. I began to plan my life anew. I used all my savings, along with my parents' support, to take over a small flower shop in the city center. I liked the feeling of being surrounded by flowers. Their lives, though short-lived, but every day they struggled to grow wildly toward the sunlight, just like me now. On the day the flower shop opened, the sun is shining brightly. I stood at the entrance in a white dress, welcoming the first customer. It was a very beautiful little girl. In her hand, she was holding a cone of ice cream. She saw me and smiled sweetly. Sis, you're so beautiful. I was taken aback, then I smiled too. Thank you, you're very cute too. I pulled out the most beautiful pink rose from the bucket of flowers, and gave it to her. Watching her back, my heart was utterly calm. I knew that new flowers in my life had already begun to bloom. Slowly, the past is already dead, and I, Jiang Ren, from today on, I have been reborn. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you like this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.